Let's get it.
Hey everybody, what's up y'all? So I am Denzel Thompson Style, originally from Allentown, PA. Traveled a long way to now living in Los Angeles, California. Currently I'm a street dance professor at Cal State Long Beach. I'm a house head at heart, but I love everything, street dance, club dance. Yeah, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm blessed that Great Renee just asked me to be here in Hip Hop International, so thank you for having me here.
What up, everybody? Hello, hello. Hi. My name is Leia, aka Lil Dead End. I'm from yes. Born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. I did move here to Arizona when I was 11. So I guess I would say I'm an Arizona head now. So reppin' Zona for life. I am a student first and always movement explorer. And I currently own and co-founder and owner of the Jukebox Grounds in Mesa, Arizona. Yes, with my wife, who's here. Ray, raise your hand. Yes, and yes, I'm just very, very honored to be here. I'm super honored to be here with my OG, Mr. Groove, right here, and Denzel. And yes, thank you for having me.
Hello, everybody. So, she just said, my name is Mr. Groove, or if you want to get technical, you can go with that name later. I've been dancing since the early 80s, so that's a long time. I just turned 49 a couple weeks ago, so still blessed and honored to be judging with people like this that promote the culture and keep it true to what it is, the street forms. My brother right here, I could go on for hours about him and his brother. But for putting this together, it's a chance for everybody to learn, grow, ask questions. So I'm from a crew called Furious Styles. We started out here in 1993. And all I can say is I just try to stay active and love to get down with everybody in this room. So feel free to come up to us and ask us questions later too if you don't catch a question right now. But love you guys. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, guys, if we can, keep it down in the back. If you guys want, you can continue to talk outside. So I'll start with you, Leia. You know, I think, you know, it's interesting because you have two different perspectives with this event. You've been here on the choreo side, and then, you know, as a freestyler, as a street dancer on that side. If you can, you know, how do you navigate that, right? Someone who, you have a studio, you're teaching people, and you have a team, you know, a choreo group, or I don't know the correct terminology on that side, but you also, you know, everyone from your camp is very active in the street dance community. So, you know, how do you navigate that?
Well, I feel like the best way that I'm navigating that, I'm able to navigate this kind of lifestyle, understanding that choreography and freestyle are both forms of expression. And I'm able to move through that because I have a support system. And I think a big thing that I've learned through these years, when I started, which is maybe 20-something years now, is that asking for help and asking for support is so important. And I think that remaining a student for life, and it's something that I really live by, learning, constantly learning, and understanding that this dance and all these forms continuously evolve. And in order for you to keep giving to this culture, it's important for you to evolve too. So yeah, I think that with understanding the importance that learning choreography, you're working on understanding retention. You're working on understanding how to move your body in different ways and being able to match whoever's teaching you these moves. Understanding that can help you with freestyle, because then you're able to put these combos together if you're battling, or figure out new ways of movement. And then freestyle is so important because you're learning how to express yourself in your own way, and you're learning how to think off on top of the dome, which will help you with choreography as well, because you understand your body. So yes, I think both are very important.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. And So you would recommend for people to try both and do both, and you feel like one helps the other,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, because I think sometimes when we have certain goals and we want to reach those goals and one or the other, we feel like we just have to focus on one, and maybe all my time needs to be on that, and it can't help the other one, right? But you feel opposite. You feel like they do go hand in hand and they do help each other.
Yes, and I do agree. I do understand that if you have one goal, focusing and like being tunnel vision is important, and I totally agree on that. However, I do feel that if you are training in different things, if you understand that if you're going into this training not just drilling it and copying whatever you're learning, but you're having that certain goal in your mind still, that kind of drilling is gonna hone itself in the right way. If you're training smart and not just going through the movement.
Yeah, thank you so much. There's a clap. And also to you, Mr. Groove, right? I know a lot about your history and your crew's history, which Furious Styles crew. If you're someone that calls themselves a hip hop head, you have to know about Furious Styles crew, right? They're not just a dance crew. They're really a staple in the hip hop community. All the elements of hip hop. Actually, who knows the elements of hip hop? Who knows the elements of hip hop? I see one. You back there, yeah.
Alright, so we got breaking.
Say it louder. Say it louder.
We got breaking, we got MCing, we got graffiti, we got DJing, and we got knowledge.
Okay, she hit you with the fifth. She hit you with the fifth one. Okay, we got a giveaway for you. All right, give it up. Give her a round of applause. Right, and as time has gone, people keep adding different elements, right? But the four originals she hit, and then that fifth one is knowledge. But that's what Furious Style Crew is. And for yourself, who came, more so directly just from street dance, right? How do you feel as an OG when you see, choreo groups and these types of competitions, take from the culture and use it in their choreography and use it in their videos? Someone that started doing this when really these art forms started. Like, what is your opinion on it? How do you feel about it and your perspective? Because I think sometimes the people who weren't born in the OG era sometimes feel even more strong about it than the people who were actually there when it was created. And you're someone that you mentored me, and you've inspired me so many years as a new gen coming up. And I think that's how you stay fresh and you stay current. So I'd like for you to expand on that. What are your thoughts?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
As you guys can tell, Groove is a talker. He.
So, I'm gonna say it like this. I'm gonna just be honest. At the beginning, we didn't understand it, so it was easy to hate it. We were younger, also, so being a little ignorant, not knowledgeable, the last element that you just named. At first, we didn't know everything. We still do not know everything. We're not even close. But as we progressed with each other, we would check each other and tell each other, that's not how you do it, that's not what it's called, that's not this. And we started understanding our value to the choreography game. And I think it was 98, 99 when House and the rest of us, we threw a jam called Take It Personal, and we invited choreography crews to come out. And it was something that we were afraid of because on one note, we didn't want to share it in a sense. But at the same time, how could it get to this point if we didn't share it back then? So some people don't like popping, and if you don't, we'll talk about that. No. Pop, breaking, or locking. So other forms of dancing started becoming, with the younger generation. So house, crumb, all these other styles started evolving, and it might not be technical like under the elements, but it's the umbrella of all of us sharing what we learn. And choreography helps build confidence. I know that for a fact. I know people that cannot dance freestyle at all, but you put them with some people and they look like they've been dancing forever, better than me. And I've been dancing for a long time. I'm not saying that they can't be, but I just look at that technique and it does sharpen your skills. It does make you What I like about it, honestly, is that it holds your partners accountable for how much practice you put it in for a certain technique to look similar, but also have your own flavor. So to answer the question and not go too long, at first it was a little rough to understand it, but as we got older and started like realizing we can't just push what we do only, that's being the old bully, like, hey, you better do what we do, or that's like our parents telling us, don't go out and do this, because at first we're like, yeah, and then we did our own thing. That's what this generations are doing, which is amazing. So keep doing that. Keep the open mind. It doesn't have to be always what we say. We just have a format that we follow. Nobody was there to teach us as much as you guys have the luck and to be able to get online and find somebody that can
access.
So that's big, you know. So use that, create, and just feel free with every style that you do, choreography, freestyle. You're having fun. At the end of the day, when you go home, there's nobody in your head. You're going home just happy or sad that you lost, but you're going home having fun. It all brings down to fun. So
Yeah, no, dope, really dope. And see, I like asking that, especially in the public setting, because I think sometimes it can be intimidating coming from choreography to like freestyle, because you hear about all these like rules and like, you know, kind of the way it used to be and all that. And I always tell like young cats who are, you know, coming over to the freestyle side, and even the other way around, like a lot of times the creators, pioneers, they're not as intimidating as you might be making them up in your head, and you would be surprised on what they have to say about your participation in their culture. You know, so I love for when people like we were able to speak that way, because a lot of times I think that kind of it opens up a door for where, you know, these younger generations who might be like, oh, but, you know, am I being authentic? Like, am I being real? You know, like, oh, I don't know if I can do that, so let me not try. And by doing that as a culture sometimes, and we were talking about this, you know, over breakfast, we're like cutting ourselves short, and it's really stopping the growth of this beautiful art, the beautiful art forms within hip hop, you know, the original elements and things like that. And Denzel, you know, for you, you know, who teaches at a college, you know, what type of advice do you give, like the older generation, like older people who are coming in and that, you know, as young adults, you know, learning, you know, real authentic, you know, dancers from you, but maybe also might be a part of a choreo team, because we know there's like a college circuit of choreography and stuff like that. And if you can, you know, your thoughts about it, and like kind of how do you guide them through that, if they ever come to you with you know, that predicament where they don't know if they could participate, you know, with freestylers and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I think actually I've been really fortunate, because a lot of the students that I encounter, when they actually take my class, they're realizing, oh snap, like I've never learned this before. Like I've never learned hip hop foundation. I've never learned house foundation. I never learned popping foundation. And so they're like, okay, like let me really tap into this. And you know, I keep tending to tell them like, yeah, like this is a great starting place with me in the classroom. And also after this, you have to go out into the world. You have to go into the community. You have to go into the events, go to the sessions. And so I make sure to create some kind of like document that gives them resources to go to the community places. So going to the hip hop session that happens up in LA, or going to the house session, or going to whatever parties. And then from there, it's like they get the chance to, you know, see, oh, there's more to this. And then they go to the battles and they're like, oh, we want to do this too now. You know, and so fortunately, even at my college, we have a chance to open up a battle class. So now we're actually like teaching them and guiding them and requiring them to go to events, and they have to enter to get credits, right? And we come back, we give them feedback, we talk about it, all that. So yeah, like, it's really dope. So I'm really grateful for Cal State Long Beach for providing that as a platform. And just again, like the students, when they realize there's more depth to it, beyond just like the moves, they're like, at least I talk about the people, they're like, oh, like, who else should I talk to? And I'm just, yeah, that's kind of the way that I guide them. I just make sure to keep like rerouting them, because I'm not the only source. You know, I'm also still growing with them, even though I have more knowledge than them. So, yeah.
Really dope. And thank you for doing that, you know, especially in that's back to the growth that we're talking about that makes this bigger, you know, the street dance and what we do as freestylers and really when you're exposing new people to the culture and with open arms, right? Because again, on the other side, sometimes I think freestylers, street dancers don't realize how intimidating it can be for the outsider because we're doing it so much. We're so comfortable in our own skin. We're so comfortable just doing our thing. Like that confidence alone sometimes can make someone who doesn't have it like, oh, I can't be a part of it. And you doing that really, you know, brings more people into our culture, and those people inspire people, and that inspiration inspires us, and you know, we work off of that, right? Energy. So thank you. So foundation, right? Foundation, that's a word that I'm sure a lot of you hear a lot. If each one of you could take, we'll start with Leah. What does that mean? What's foundation for you, in terms of dance?
Well, I feel like through the years of me training and constantly working in my own craft, I feel that foundation has I've found different definitions throughout this time, but I really feel like where I'm at right now, as far as what foundation means, is like for each dancer and for each artist is your own identity, the foundation of your self, your pocket, how you are as an individual. I feel like that's foundation. And I feel like in means of finding whatever that foundation is understanding the basics of if you're trying to express yourself through these street styles that we practice and through these cultures, it's important for you to understand the basics and the foundation of these cultures, that these are coming from rich history. And that is a foundation as well. So yes, that's my definition of foundation.
Yes. Thank you. So Denzel, similar question. But as you came up and you started to find out or realize that foundation is important, like in terms of each dance style, how do you go about finding out what that foundation is? Because when young people or people who are learning hear that, sometimes they're like, well, like what is that? Like, is it a move? Is it an ideology? Is it a concept? What is it? Like for you, when you found out that foundation was important and started clicking, how did you go about finding out what that is for the styles that you do? Because for those that don't know, Denzel's been able to make, world finals in 2 different styles, a house and hip hop at the freestyle session, which is like one of the most, known events around the world when it comes to street dance. And to do that is, did you make the finals for both in the same year? Yeah. No, back to back. So that's a huge accomplishment. You wouldn't do that without the foundation and having a solid foundation. So yeah.
That's a great question. Foundation, the way I approach, or at least the way I think about it, is really thinking about researching the people. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about, okay, like if I want to learn the foundation of hip hop, like who were the people doing it? Right? Studying how they were moving, but then like also figuring out like who were they? Like what environments they grew up in, like what were the things that inspired them to even move the way they moved and to make the choices they made in their careers, in their lives. What were the battles they were fighting through? Like what were they trying to overcome? Because all that stuff is inside their dance. Like when you're talking about foundation as part of your identity, it's like, well, that was them, So they were fighting for their identity and expressing that. And so understanding the context of where these dances come from, why they came to be, gives me a better understanding of how to even connect to the dance, right? Because then I'm like, oh, okay, like I can relate to that, I understand that story, because I experienced something similar to that. And so I can understand why they used to rock the way they used to rock, I understand the fact that a lot of this was games and playing, inspired by, especially back in the day, like karate movies and, different, like just all type of cartoons, whatever. And there's that element, a part of the dance. So how can I bring play into my stuff, and just thinking about all that, I make sure to research those kind of things in each dance. So if it's house dance, it's like, what were the clubs that these dances came from, right? Who was in the room? Why was the house clubs not segregated, but underground to the point that they were hiding from mainstream realities because of the escape, right? These people were trying to find a safe haven, a safe space to dance. So there's something about that energy that I need to find in my dance when I dance house. I can't just dance energetically and dance like a hip hop head when that wasn't the only way that house dance was done. So understanding just like the lineage and the history of these dances gives me more understanding of how I can find myself within it and continue the story, because the foundation is ongoing, right? Like as new people come into this, as new generations come through, they're setting another foundation on top of the original. And that just keeps happening. So I want to make sure that I'm able to do that, but honor what's below me, honor what happened before me. So that's the way I approach foundation.
Really dope. And then for you, Groove, right? Coming up, right? You might have not created any of these dances that you do, but you came up in the generation that pioneered it and made it to, you know, where the world wanted to do it, right? As a youngster coming up in Arizona, doing this dance before there was all these rules and expectations, were you even thinking about foundation? Was that on your mind? And if you can, give us that perspective of someone who, you know, lived the era where there was a lot less expectations, and what were you thinking? You know, because you're from the generation that pushed this dance to the world.
That's a good question. So, I'm stuck between a couple of things, but when we grew up dancing, it was the music, and it sounds so cliche. This music, when I hear electro, I turned into a robot. And this is funny to some people, but rest in peace, moms. But every day when she would wake me up from school, I would get up like a robot.
That's dope.
And she would hate it because I would take mom, and I would brush my teeth like this. And she would be behind me slapping my head, like, in peace, mom, I love you. But she would always, like, it was just an everyday thing. I didn't even know I was gonna be a popper 35, 40 years later. Like, that was, you tell me that, I'll be like, yeah, right, I'm just doing this today. I'm 4 or 5 years old, 6 years old. I would walk so slow, and my mom, like, you know, I put it there, you can already know the whole story. I'm late all the time, blah, blah, blah. No foundation at all. It was just mimicking things that we saw in the streets. And a lot of times it was negative. It was a lot of you do stuff, you were shooting somebody. I never shot nobody, but these things you would just act tough and little play guns and this and that and fighting and all this little character. So we all started building character. And then later they were like, do you know how to do the 6-step? We're like, what are you talking about? And you do it, I'm like, oh yeah, I do that all the time. But we didn't know names. So as a young kid, I just danced. And then we had to learn what was being documented because otherwise we wouldn't be able to teach it. So we had to go back and humble ourselves and be like, I don't know what that's called. And go back and learn. So it was kind of hard and in a sense annoying because we knew the moves, we just didn't know. And then you had East Coast and West Coast with different names of certain moves. So then it was a lot. So now all the information that you guys get and the knowledge that you guys get is because we're starting to do stuff like this, document, film, and that's a big reason why we're able to elevate and keep growing as a whole unit, because we can help each other say, no, it wasn't like this. So a lot of you that don't really have foundation, it's okay. Like, you don't have to feel, but like you said, what they both said is, first, go find something that you love and ask about it. It's easy. You have the internet. It's so easy. And you'll find that you have people in your neighborhoods and your communities that can help you learn and grow. I can see a bunch of people here that I know can teach about certain styles. So today, go ask people. Don't be afraid. That's what we're here for. It used to be hard. We didn't talk to other crews. We didn't teach other crews. If anybody was in a room, we all stopped dancing until it was time to battle. And then we battle, and then we go home and practice. We would never practice like you guys are doing. So we didn't have a foundation. Our mentality was be greedy, but we can grow. So now that we have this foundation and we're able to show each other and say, this is what this is called, this is how it's amazing. We're gonna keep growing, but the belief in yourself. I've been dancing for a long time. I started thinking I had to do so many different crazy moves, and all this time, I learned that the simple moves are the happiest, funnest moves and make you feel like you're dancing free. So don't stress yourself on learning everything today, tomorrow. You're gonna learn a lot, and you're gonna end up going back to the beginning basics of foundation. So, thank you.
See why they up here? And again, I think that perspective is refreshing, you know, to hear for younger people coming up, because a lot of times, especially when you start doing this for a long time and you're, you know, trying to make a career of it, you know, you'll start hearing people say, man, I wasn't like it was back in the day. They were way more dope back in the day, or this and that, and it's partially because they were more free. They didn't have all these, am I checking off the box? Am I checking? Okay, yes, I have foundation. Yes, I've asked the right questions. Yes, you know, and then they're thinking of all this where Groove's generation and, you know, those before were able to have that freedom, right? But that's something that they earned and they have because they were part of the creation of it. And as it grows and it becomes something, especially for those who are trying to make a career, those who are trying to teach, it becomes our responsibility to then go back and ask them and ask those questions of what was the dance like, what were some of the moves that you had to know, you know, and all that. So, you know, I think it's somewhere in the middle, right, where we have to be. And the more you do what both Leia and Denzel are talking about, knowing who you are, knowing who to ask, you start building that confidence to when you enter a room or you enter a battle, you're not questioning yourself because you know you've done the work. And don't be afraid to be wrong, right? Because when you find out you're wrong, 9 times out of 10, you find the right answer, you know? And I think that's what happens a lot, especially in these types of environments where, you know, you're coming from the choreo world and you're afraid to be wrong. That's human nature. That's human nature, right? No one wants to feel like they're wrong. No one wants to feel like they're making a fool of themselves. But back in those days when they were coming up, they weren't afraid to do that. And that's how these dance forms were created, and that's how they had that fun looseness because they were being silly, having fun, making mistakes, and that's what, you know, created hip hop. That type of mentality. So again, you know, clap it up for Mr. Groove. Thank you for you saying that. Something I want to touch on that you talked about is the battle, right? Battling. And we'll start with Denzel. You know, do you feel battles are important in terms of, you know, you kind of touched on it a little bit when you were talking because, like you said, your students get credit for it. But if you could expand on that, like, why is it important for someone who is learning about this culture, these dance styles, to participate in the battle?
I'm gonna say a couple things around it. One, I think battles are important because they're an opportunity for the community to come together, right? Like, we finally get to see each other after being apart, training, doing whatever, living life, you know, having kids, whatever the case may be. We finally have that moment to like be in the space together. And to me, battles in one regard are a place of like celebration, a place of like for us to like celebrate these dances that we love, that we dedicated our lives to. And then when it comes to the actual like battle, not just like the coming together part, it's an opportunity for the dance to continue to elevate itself. And we get to see people that are either pioneers or next up and coming, like take the dance farther and farther and farther. Because there's that pressure, competition. Competition always, you know, iron sharpens iron type of thing, you know? So we're constantly like elevating the dance while it's happening. And I think that's beautiful for the dance so that it continues to see higher heights. You know, there's like no limit to where these dances can go. Even though it is true that you get so high that you realize you need to come back to the beginning and to the basics. And you're like, oh, that's where the real goodness is at. But I think battles are really, really good for that. And then because, you know, it's so open, you get to be around multiple generations in one space, right? So that the next generation, the young cats, get to see the people that have been doing it for years, and they get to see the OGs judging. They get to see all the different people that have contributed to the community and to the culture be in one space, and that's an opportunity to learn, right? That's a great place to go and actually talk to people and ask questions. And hey, like, oh, can I like go round with you real quick? I just want to learn something, you know, whatever it is that you want to learn, or you know, talking to an OG and be like, hey, I had a question about something. Can I ask you about that? So I think like just that having that space of like us coming together gives us all these different opportunities.
Yes, everything that Denzel said. I totally agree with the importance of coming together and attending the events and these jams, being able to, every battle, you don't know whose night it's going to be. And I think that's just so, like, that keeps everybody on the edge, because, like, you can have a killer or a heavy hitter just been killing it every jam, and then all of a sudden, just one night, you just don't know. Like someone can capture a moment, and if you're not at these jams, you're gonna miss it. You can't. The moments can't be captured on video. I feel like, and you can only really feel those if you're there. And yeah, so that I think the attending these events is so important. But battling, as far as like battling somebody, it's you're able to have that conversation and have that exchange. All those moments that you've been training in your room, in the lab, in your studio, in your home space, in the garage. You can prep as much as you want, and you can say that you're ready, but the actual battle itself, that's when you know that if you're ready or not. And I feel like you're never really ready until you're in that experience in itself. Yes, so I feel like battling is important for your growth and important for your opponent's growth too, so that we're continuing to elevate this culture together.
Yeah, dope. You might hear me say dope a lot, because what they're saying is dope. Oh, Groove. So, same question, but I'm gonna ask a little different, all right? You also come from the generation, Groove he's young spirited, so I know he's one of those OGs who's like, I'm not an OG, like I'm just one of y'all, but you've earned that, like when we say it, and in our culture, it's like, it's really it's like we're paying respect, we're paying respect. But battling, right? You come from the generation where you had to earn your right to battle, right? It wasn't like, oh, okay, today I learned, tomorrow I battle, right? Especially when you had a crew of people holding you accountable, holding you, because I also remember coming up and even to enter a cypher, and there was a bunch of heavy hitters. My dad, rest in peace, who was also a dancer, would always tell me, and my brother Rock Swift, would be like, did you guys practice enough to earn that right to get into that cypher? If not, go to the other one, because like coming up wanting to, hang with the big dogs and like prove yourself, it'll be like, no, you better practice to even get in the cypher. Like you can't, it's like, it's not just your right to enter it, like that's more so from like the breaking and popping mentality of things, right? Where like house, it's a lot more about sharing the club and stuff. So was my perspective, but I know for you, Groove, for battling, do you find it important? But also, if you could drop some knowledge on how it was battling in the era where maybe it wasn't just at jams, it was at malls, it was, walking up and down the street, you see someone that might have some Adidas on, or, looks a little fresh, and you're like, oh yeah, he gets down. So if you can, let us know.
Alright, so you guys are more than welcome to laugh at this. So, if you come talk to me, you'll notice, but when I was 5.5, 6, it was at a family gathering with the neighborhood invited. I tried to jump in a circle, and I lost a tooth. That was my first experience of trying to jump into a battle. I got elbowed by a cousin's friend or something, little 5-year-old trying to walk in, and bing, get away. Boom, walked away, my mom, blood, crying. Yes, I was crying. Walked away, and my dad, first thing, well, you want to get in there? Go back. And I was scared. But as soon as I went back, I watched for the elbows, ducked my little head in, and I got to go in. Probably did nothing. I don't remember that part. I just remember crying, but that was so when I tell people like it was not easy to jump in with older 15, 16-year-olds that were doing it already, my older cousins, and you're 5, 6, 7, they didn't give you that. Like when I talk to the studio kids that only go to studios, and they're like, well, how did you get that, like the aggressive, you don't have to be mean all the time. I think the misconception is that to be a b-boy, you have to be mean. And I know Lorenzo's gonna understand this. I thought this for 30 plus years. Don't talk to nobody, I just told you today. I've never talked to nobody at an event, because I get in my zone, I sit in the corner until it's time to battle, and then we do work, we go home, we talk after, but during, it's no conversations like that. I always thought you had to be tough. I never realized until I just recently, I do jiu-jitsu also. So this is gonna I went to an event where everybody in the building, there's like 3,000 people, can literally kill you. They're trained to do, and they were so nice to everybody. And I was like, wait, hip hop, everybody's mean, and nobody trains
It's
to
a bunch
fight.
of dancers and artists, and they're like,
Being mean to each other and holding each other back. And then you go to this event where everybody can literally kill each other, and everybody's like, hey, hi. And I'm like, hi. And just that changed my whole perception of how I should be when I go into an event now. So being able to go into a cypher, I love when people are so scared to cypher, because I'll go up to real slow and I'll pull them out, and they look at me like, but that's what I guess, without knowing, as a older guy, we'll put that OG in use, I put that as like, that's my way of giving back to the younger generation. Instead of scaring them, how we used to, intimidating, we see somebody that wasn't as good, our first name was like, uh-oh, he's not that good? Okay, I'm getting him first. Boom, take his soul, they would leave, then they would leave. And that's just how it was, right? Now it's like, yo, let's get this kid to come out. And everybody starts clapping. And then 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that kid is winning battles. And right now in my head, I'm seeing dead ends. My crewmate family to jukebox. But I see him struggle as a crumper that was not taken serious. Now he's all over the world and everybody knows who he is. Because he didn't stop. And I drive a lot of energy from him. Just from that. Don't tell him I said that, you guys know. But from being in cyphers that you weren't allowed to be in and scared to be in, that made us, like, for one, get tougher, but at the same time, as we got older, start opening up, because we didn't need to be like that to everybody. So I see both sides. Yeah, the circle's tough, but it's tough love, and you can't get away from that in anything, so.
no. Thank you. And this is why it's important to prioritize effort over results, right? The effort you put in, the practices, the research, and all that, it's gonna, it's gonna stand the test of time. And when you do that, and you're not just focused on, am I gonna win, right? It's an element of it, right? You want to have a goal. You want to try to whatever that is. But when you just focus on the result, you're always gonna leave disappointed. You're always going to leave disappointed, right? And there's only one way that, for some to walk away happy, which is to win, right? But when you prioritize the effort it took to get there, right? Whatever your journey was, whatever your story is, as long as you gave it your best and you tried your hardest, you're never going to walk away disappointed because you tried it, and you're like, I know what I had to do to get here. So 3 judges, 5 judges pointing in the other person's direction isn't gonna break me, isn't gonna make me doubt myself and rethink my whole career and everything I've done. Because I've seen that, and I'm sure all of you guys have seen that, where some people take some losses so bad, and it's not just because they're like, oh, I worked so hard. It's sometimes just because they didn't win, and you ask them, like, wait, why do you feel that way? Or why do you look that way? It's like, man, I wanted to win. It's like, oh, so you're just thinking about winning. So yeah, you're not thinking like, man, last year I didn't make it past prelims. This year I made it the top 8. And when you have that perspective and mindset, you'll start to even do better. You start having better results because you're not beating yourself up about it. And when you're up here, you're gonna truly be able to be who you are. And judges like this, who are experienced and know what they're doing, are looking for that. They're looking for your story. They know the history of the dance. They know the pioneers. They know the foundation. All right, let's see, how can you show me what that means to you through your movement? Who are you? How are you going to introduce yourself to me? And I think, especially with like this format, all styles, open styles, you get caught in like, okay, let me do 5 different styles. I have to try to do them all. And those are like usually the first people who don't make it, right? But again, when you prioritize the effort over results, and you could like take that deep breath and really be relaxed and be yourself in this environment, you're not going to be as caught up about if you took first, if you took second, and all that. So again, for anyone who might be, second guessing themselves about entering a battle, ask yourself, did I practice enough? Did I do my best, up to this point? And if the answer is yes, enter. Enter. But if it's no, and you cut corners, you haven't been labbing, you haven't been putting in the work, then yeah, maybe you shouldn't. And that was my point to like coming up in the generation where that's like the OGs didn't know how to articulate it in this way, but that's what they were telling me. As I got older, I realized that, because when I was young, sometimes I was like, man, what the hell? Like, I thought I was practicing enough, right? But they were pushing me, knowing that, no, you were holding back a little bit. That was their way, that tough love, right? You want to touch on it? Yeah.
So, on the battle part, I just wanted to say something like, you don't have to battle to be in love with the dance. Just so you know that right now. You don't have to, but you want to get better in anything. You play basketball, you're going to play against the better people to learn how to be better. So if that's what you want to do, please enjoy that route. Don't worry about wins or losses, because I've lost more battles than I've won, especially in like settings where it's a lot of people. I don't do well in those. Cyphers, when nobody's watching, just a group, we can do that forever and ever, I know that. But that's me. Some people do different, right? But just know, if you're in love with the culture, you don't have to show anybody or do it for yourself. After a while, you're gonna want to battle, and then you're gonna start learning how exciting that is to show everything you learn. So don't put pressure on yourself at the very beginning to like, well, if I enter this group, I'm gonna have to start battling. Maybe after a while, but you're gonna end up wanting to experience that. At first, just do it for you. Don't be scared like, man, they said I gotta battle tomorrow. But just take your time. It's always gonna be here. And it's always gonna be evolving. So just, when you feel ready, start battling. But just on that.
Thank you. So, Leah, for you, because battling and, street dance is a very male-dominated environment, and I think it's important for us to ask, like, for you, how do you deal with that energy, that environment? And because even last year on the panel, we talked about this. We had Mary Poppins and a couple of other people, and we were talking about this topic that sometimes, let's say you're a little girl coming up and you're like, I don't see a lot of like girls here, and you see a lot of dudes who might be looking like they're about to stab you and shoot you, and they're like chest bumping. How did you deal with that, and what pushed you towards it and not away from it?
Well, first I want to say that I have an all-female crew called 5 Foot Thrillers. I have a crewmate right there. That's Dreams. Yes, and my wife, Avery. But yes, I feel like, man, I love that energy. I love feeling nervous. I love feeling like I'm the underdog. I love feeling like people underestimate me, or or I'm too small. I'm too this. I love that, and I feed off of that, and I think what has helped me want to continue to keep doing this is again, support system. I think that there is strong women and strong role models that these young girls coming up and that they can go to and then they can reach out to. I think that it's important to find your people. Yeah, the people that you can rock with. People if you're feeling doubt at all, like just someone that's like, if you go to an event and you're like not sure of yourself, or if you're in a battle and you're just like not sure how you're feeling nervous, looking to that person, looking at them in the eye and like, hey, I need some love right now, and then getting that kind of that feeling and knowing that you're not by yourself, I think is so important. Yeah, and I think knowing that, man, this culture has so many powerful women in this rich history, for us to be able to look to and research and contact that have been feeling the same kind of underestimated or not feeling like they're good enough. So many women that have paved the way, Demita Joe, Miss Fog, like all these people that have paved the way for us, and I think that looking to those people as people that you know that they're giving that yes, like yes, I can do this too. I think that's important, and that has helped me continue to do this.
Thank you. So, similar in the sense, like, Denzel, you're from, Pennsylvania and, like, the East Coast. How did you deal with when you moved to LA? A new environment, maybe you didn't know as many people, maybe you felt like the underdog, and, what was your process? Did you feel that way? And, like, what kind of advice do you give people who enter a new environment, and especially into, like, a battle setting, right? Because it's not like you're just entering a room full of people who, you're like, all right, let's do some choreo today. I'm gonna teach you. Like, you're entering a room where it's like it's competition. It's a certain energy. So, when you moved to LA, did you feel that? Did that play a part of sometimes of maybe some doubt in your head that pushed you away, or like, how was that for you?
I didn't experience it much in LA, but when I first started, like, really, like, getting into the scene in Philadelphia, I felt that it was like, oh, like, okay, these people, they know what they're doing. They have years in them. But what's helped me ground myself and be able to just, like, push through was really, honestly, just, like, really, like, I don't want to cuss, but really, like, like, loving myself. Like, being like, yo, like, I am, like, my #1 fan. You know what I mean? Like, I know me, and I know that I have a light. I know I have something to share. I know that what I have to say is valuable and valid. It just takes time for me to just, like, constantly craft how I'm delivering myself. And that just goes with practice. That goes with, like, training, getting in sessions with myself. But just, like, knowing who I am and really rocking with me has been, like, the #1 thing that's always pushed me through. Because that leaves me not feeling disappointed, right? Talking about, like, it's not about winning and losing, right? It's like I care more about me being able to show up for myself. If I can go into a room and, like, be myself 100%, like, I want for me. Whether someone else agrees and enjoys what I shared and what I express, that's subjective, whatever it is. They can like it, not like it, but I'm always gonna keep showing up. And I think even that, the consistency of just, like, constantly showing up and being undeniable and not playing around with myself, like, makes people be like, okay, I see you. I may not have saw you the first 3 times, but, like, oh, I see you now, like, you saying something, you doing something, and that has always, like, helped me continue to rise. Yeah, that's something else, but I can't think of it right now. I'm gonna come back.
So, Gru, for you were battling in the era too where, which it's in the history, it might not be what people want to hear, but you grew up in the era where sometimes battles didn't end as friendly, right, as they do today, right? We're almost 9 times out of 10, we're gonna dap it up, which I love that it's got to that point. But for you growing up in that environment where there was a lot more on the line, how did you deal with those nerves and energy where, like, you're walking into a space and you're like, all right, are we gonna fight or are we gonna dance today? Like, what's gonna happen, What helped you have the confidence to step in, and still take that risk? Because for those of you that don't know that history, like, that is a part of the history of what we do. Not all history is gonna be beautiful, flowery, and, like, just a fairy tale. There is history that when you really do your research, it's not, it's not the most positive, right? But it's important to see how beautiful this is, that we could be at this point where we could all share this space and we could all know confidently that no one's gonna walk away hurt. No one hurt another person, at least. So no one hurts an ankle or a knee or nothing like that. But I mean, like, physical harm, which, like, in your generation, that was, an element of it. But yeah, what gave you the confidence to still, be brave enough to do it?
Well, that's, man, it made me a little shaky. So, when I grew up, even before, like, in the 80s, in the 90s when I met B-Boy House, and we started Styles Crew before Furious Styles Crew, we battled somebody that we're friends with now that actually did a drive-by on us while we were outside practicing of our house. Literally shot us, my little brother ran inside, all of us inside. We're friends now, kinda. No, I'm just kidding. But 30 years ago, it was really that bad here in Phoenix, and probably all over Cali and everywhere else. You would fight. You would not necessarily always fight, but it would go somewhere else, and they would look for you guys away from that. And we never went to look for nobody. They would no, but it was just no. I'm just kidding. It was bad. It was. You would go in there, and if you didn't have, we had 6 dancers. Something like this. We had me, my brother, House, his brother, and 2 twin brothers. So 6 of us. But we had like 35 people with us, just to make sure we could dance. Because in the middle of a battle, somebody would get kicked, then it would just go crazy, the event would end, and it was bad. There was no structure, no security, no nothing. And events would end fast sometimes. It was horrible. Not like how this is. Not like how the safe spaces that we have now where we can go dance and actually dance and not worry about that. So that is like a real touchy subject because my heart gets real, it's a lot. Because we just wanted to dance, but other people didn't want that at that time. So you start doing something and you make fun of somebody else, then their friend that didn't even dance would throw something. Then you have that, our friends would throw something, then it never ended great, so the fact that we can talk about stuff now, it's crazy that I'm shaking talking about it because we're safe. But bringing back that energy is just it was a struggle. And I'm glad that it taught us to stay in it because we had to teach the next generation not to do that. And they had to teach their next generation not to do that. And now we're in a spot where we have how many countries here hanging out, chilling, that's crazy to me. We didn't even have people in the same, we weren't even allowed 3 blocks over to go practice. So that's how we grew up. We had to learn from people that were 3 blocks in the radius. That's it.
Thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it.
I do remember my second point.
There we go. Let's go.
So attached to really rocking with myself is not being able, but being open to the environment you're in. I'm walking into a new environment, right? You can't go in there and just be overly confident. People are not gonna rock with you. And back in the day, it would be different, right? And nowadays, people just will literally dismiss you. And so being open to the community you're in and getting to know them and learning the people around me helped me also feel comfortable to continue to express myself in that space and to also learn, right? Just because I come in the room don't mean I know everything. You know what I'm saying? This community has so much more information than I do. So when I walk in this space, if I do something and someone's like, yo, let me spit game with you, listen. Listen and apply and know that the balance between knowing yourself and being able to receive will constantly take you farther. So that was my second point I wanted to share.
Thank you. Remember, it's about you guys, so if something comes up, please grab the mic. But it's important for everyone to hear our elders and what they had to go through to even do this art form. Because I think sometimes when we're younger coming up, we always look at adults or the authority as why are they so mad, or why are they grumpy, or why are they on me, And when you actually take the time to ask questions and talk and find out, you'll realize what everything they had to do to just enjoy themselves, right? Where we get the privilege we walk into a space already almost feeling like it's our right. Why wouldn't we're human beings? We should always be able to enjoy ourselves. Well, people like Groove and other pioneers and other creators didn't have that privilege, right? They were growing up in an environment where they had to worry. You couldn't, our LGBTQ community, they couldn't be themselves. They had to, that's where, art forms, a lot of beautiful art forms come from where they had to do it in hiding, and then the list goes on and on and on. So, again, Groove has a really good way of making stories funny, real serious stories funny, but it's true, there's PTSD from it, and he would be how, if it's dance, why would that was a reality in a lot of these communities, and that reality birthed these dance styles and this culture, and how lucky are we that now, so many years later, we're able to do it safely, we're able to not, hopefully for all, because I can't speak for the whole world, hopefully everyone, they're able to do it safely, they're able to, right? I think there's still a lot of work to be done, and there's still elements of certain communities feeling like they can't be themselves in certain spaces, where maybe in 30, 40 years, they're gonna have a story that, that could relate to the time, But with that said, I'd like to open it up to the crowd, So don't be scared, don't be nervous. If we can't hear you, I'll pass the mic down. But yeah, let's ask some questions to our judges here in our panel. There's no question too silly, guys, or too serious. Like, ask whatever, right? You guys are cool with that? Yeah, ask whatever. So, is there anyone in the crowd that has a question? Anyone in the crowd that has a question? Let's see. All right, guys, we're done. All right, Ariana, if you can step up closer, but we'll start with you. Yes, and you can introduce yourself, what country you're from, as well as then ask your question, please.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Taylor. I'm actually from America. I just had a question just because I'm not a dancer myself, but if you guys had one piece of life advice, what would you give to any generation? What would it be?
So not only you as the dancer, but just you as the person, right?
I love that question. That's an amazing question. One thing that I just recently learned, and this goes with my age, like I said, I just turned 49 a couple weeks ago. I learned that we talk about passing the torch, and people want to be like, yeah, I started this, and there's a lot of older generation that are taking credit for things and they're not even in the scene, which is kind of, in a way, it's not right. I don't look at it like they're still active, they're still not giving back, but they want to say they had a history, right? Being active at any age, if you're involved, staying relevant. I just said this to, I think, Anthem, if he's somewhere, for us to pass the torch to anybody, our torch has to still be lit. So for us to keep grinding is the only way we can pass that torch. So in life, just keep learning and doing what you're doing, and you're gonna pass your knowledge to somebody that wants to learn what you learned. So always be open to that, because somebody's gonna love what you do, whatever it is that you do, if you don't dance, but keep doing you, because once they acknowledge that you love what you do, that's how people fall in love with it too. So that's awesome.
My answer will be a little shorter, for sure. One is be kind, right? Always be kind. That goes such a long way. Be true to yourself, to your community, to where you come from, and also be true to your passions. Work hard at your passions. Do it regardless of people are watching. You know what I mean? Really commit to yourself to it, and then give back, because what you do is always bigger than yourself. Always.
Life advice, I would say, is to really be grateful, be appreciative, and be in each moment. And be in each moment and really be here completely, looking at the people around you. Looking at them in the eye, appreciating this building around me, appreciating my breath. Just really being in the moment, and every chance and opportunity that you're given, being completely there.
Thank you. And I'll just add to it every time, I have an opportunity to say this, I say it is, don't be in a rush or feel like you have to, shine over the people around you. I always compare it to a ladder. Don't be afraid to hold the ladder for someone else to be successful. And I think that sometimes we're all in a rush to climb that ladder, and it keeps falling. And as a community, that happens, right? So, be proud of the person next to you if they're maybe getting an opportunity that you might want, and hold that ladder for them, and so they can climb to the top. Because when they get there, they're gonna help you. But don't be that person that's knocking it down because it's not you. Your time will come. Everyone has a time. And if it's not today and it's the person's next to you time, be proud of them. Be kind. You know what I'm saying? Give back. All those things. And that's something that anytime I get a chance to say that, I say it. I work with a lot of kids in the marginalized communities, and I always tell them that. And the ones that really listen and understand are the ones that really tend to start succeeding in whatever they want to do. Ariel, if you can, introduce yourself, what country you represent, and then ask your question.
Alright, hi everyone, my name is Ariel. I'm from the USA. And then my question is related to the concept of training in multiple styles and how people can put you in a box for like one of those things, or the idea of having like a specialty when there's so many types of dance that you love. So I was just hoping you could speak to how you navigate that, or how you like reframe that box for yourselves in your own artistry.
Who wants to start?
That's a real good question too. You guys are waiting for this week. So I'm a popper at heart from what people kind of know me. Like, so I have that right now. But I started breaking. I'm a breaker. I'm a b-boy, like from the beginning. And I also lock. So locking to me is not battling. It's more fun. I just do that in like that disco funk vibe, just for me popping. And so I have like these formats in my head. So when I train or when I practice, I don't really like, so I train differently. My training was actually like, our training was going out every night as much as we could, Monday through Friday, trying to go to different play clubs or whatever. And we were lucky that that was available. So we would go out and just have to like kind of perform. So practicing every style is amazing. I would honestly say it's gonna take however long each style. Some might be faster. Just don't give up at each one, because once you find that little niche where you fit in that style, nobody's gonna say like, well, you can't house. Yes, I can. And a house, yes. You can't pop. Yes, I'm a popper. I can pop. And it's not just, I can do foundation. It's finding yourself, like they were saying earlier in some of the things, but finding yourself in each style and just letting loose and just keep going at it. Like there's no real way to like, well, I don't want to be known as this, because then you're gonna stop doing that as much. And that's basically how you became who you were, right? So keep adding all your styles to everything and then see where that goes. So with that, just keep playing with everything that you learn. Mixing, there's no right or wrong. So we're building the foundation and adding what you do. Makes you.
Man, forget what anyone says. You just take yourself out the box, and do everything that you just said, because at the end of the day, for me at least, the music comes first. The music is the thing I love. The music is what makes me want to dance. And sometimes today I might hear a song and my legs might move more. But tomorrow I might hear the same song and I might like just rock a little more. Or I might be in a little hip hop head, or my head might whirl. My leg is going up and I'm doing African dance, because at the end of the day I'm responding to how the music's making me feel. And so when I'm training that first. I'm constantly gonna honor my feeling before anything else. And then, move past the feeling and then, okay, let's get to the mechanics, okay? If I really want to be a hip-hop head, let me practice this bounce. But, the feeling for me matters more, and that's the thing that takes me away from the box. Yeah.
Yes, completely agree with the feeling. I am a movement explorer first and a student first. But I feel that every dancer has maybe some styles that they gravitate towards and that they love doing and they found love doing. So the three styles that I really love right now is crump, Campbell locking, and Chicago footwork. And how different are all three, right? They're just, right? Shout out, it's a happy Footwork Appreciation Month, by the way. Yes.
Yeah.
But what I have found is that just continuing to remain a student, and that if you love it, why not? If you are wanting to do those styles, I think knowing if you're wanting to say that you are practicing these styles, that means you have to do the work outside of just drilling the basics. I think understanding that all these styles have people, right, that make it what the style is. They have sessions, they have a culture, a feeling, and I think that, doing what you love, but if you're wanting to do those styles, just know that there's work outside of the movement that makes it what it is. So, yeah.
Yep. Definitely agree. And knowing who you are as a person first, then you can truly know who you are as a dancer. And when you know who you are as a person, and you walk into any space, as soon as someone tries to do that to you, it just doesn't work. It bounces right off, right? Because I've had that happen when I go to different countries or somewhere. They're like, "Oh, you're a popper," and I'm, "Oh no, I'm Lorenzo." And like, "Nice to meet you." You know, they're like, then they start to understand who I am as a person, and they stop trying to put me in that box because I walk into every room that way, you know. And then again, that gives me confidence to perform, to battle, and all that. Because it's like it's an aura right around you that then people see and feel, and they just stop trying to project onto you what maybe was projected onto them, right? Let's go one more question. Thank you. Good questions. Good questions. Don't be shy back there. Introduce yourself. Where you're from. You get closer. You can get closer. Yeah. Congratulations.
I wanted to ask, when do you feel confident to be able to teach the style that you learned in the past years? When do you feel ready to pass on that knowledge to each one and teach one idea?
Awesome. And I think that's a dope question, and I think we kind of are answering that as we were going along. But if you guys can each just touch on what your opinion is on what makes it. When is it time?
I'll touch up on that real quick.
Just real quick, the question was, when do you know it's time or you're ready to teach a style that you've been practicing and learning? Like when is that time?
For me, that's a good question. Also, I've been dancing for a while, and sometimes I feel like I'm not even ready to teach. So it can fluctuate. I teach my friends that I grew up with that were just the same as me. They're now crewmates, and that's like just people that hang out with you. It's okay to share knowledge as you get it. It depends if you're trying to make money, and that's why I'll pass it along to them. If you're trying to make it a career, then you have to be honest with yourself. Am I allowed to make money off of what I've learned, or am I just jumping the gun to try to make money and kind of weave my way through that? So in a sense, you have to be honest with yourself that what are you doing it for? And then also, how much can you really teach somebody if they're paying you? Like, what's the point where you have to be honest? I can only get you to this level. So, and that's from you. You'll know that. Nobody else can tell you that. But honestly, like just somebody that doesn't necessarily teach as much, but I'll help people learn, when I can. It just comes from yourself.
Guru, have you ever turned anyone away that couldn't pay you?
Never. I actually I was just I had to ask Leah for some advice I was asked to do some choreography for a show and I don't know what to charge. I just want to do it for free. But my friends and family are like, you should get something for what you put into it.
You earned it.
And I feel bad. So even with that, I've been dancing so long. These two little girls, they need a routine. It's only a minute and something. I'm like, I can do that in 10 seconds. Let's do this. And I feel bad charging them. So it's up to you. It's up to how you feel in that moment, the people that you're teaching. If it's just for a student, a client, or is it your cousin, is it your neighbor, is it your relative, anything. Do you just want to teach them because you want them to be part of what you're part of? Do you love it just for that? So that way they love it like you do. So, it just depends on but I'll pass that on.
Thank you.
Yes, said, honestly, what you shared is the answer, and I just to, add some additional things to it. Money complicates everything, because I agree that sharing these dances is priceless. These dances are for everyone, in terms of being able to find expression to themselves and be able to find themselves. So I think teaching kids, for instance, if you have knowledge, they're the people that really should be learning it, and you don't have to charge them really much of anything. I think where it starts to get complicated is when it's you're trying to make money for yourself as a career, or you're trying to put yourself in a position where you are promoting yourself as being this person that has so much to take someone so far without actually being honest, as you said, about like, okay, how far can I actually take you, and how much is the value of that, of what I have to share. But in terms of just like even your own practice, if you really want to like take a career teaching, learn how to teach first. Like learn pedagogy, you know. I see people out back there. Yeah, but I say that because the art of teaching is its own thing, you know. And you know, I'll just say this to say that like a lot of our OGs are OGs because like they were the practitioners of these things. Like they like mastered how to express these things, how to like take the dance farther. But it doesn't mean that they learned how to like teach it in a way that gets people to where they were at, you know? And it's not their fault because they didn't grow up in environments where they learned pedagogy. But I think now there's so many opportunities. I think HHI has a program about teaching too, or educational program, right? So it's like, one, I would tell you to actually learn what it means to like be a really good educator. You know, and if you can teach kids, then I believe you can teach anybody. You know what I'm saying? If you can teach the kids something and they like get nice, but okay, you're onto something. But like learning pedagogy, learning methodology, learning how to like break down what you know in a way that's digestible, but also can show the depth of the dance. It's really important, and that takes practice. That takes also just real care about like sharing and educating people. If you don't want to be an educator, please don't do it. If you're teaching dance because you want your name to go somewhere, like stop. Because you're not doing it for the people that are learning, you're doing it for yourself. That's selfish. So I'll leave it at that. Honor yourself, honor the dance, honor the people you're sharing it with, and you know whether you should put a price tag on it or not.
You're like,
Yeah, period.
you agree with both?
I think the intention, knowing your why, what are you doing it for, and also if you're wanting to teach a street style, I think it's important for you to reflect on what kind of that are sharing their choreography, and there are people that are teaching their choreography. And I think that if you're wanting to teach it, it's good to practice on somebody first. And knowing that you're able to break down movement, I think is so important. And and understanding that if you're wanting to teach a class, it's not just you about showing off these moves. It's about you being able to help these students have an experience and be able to learn something, either learn something about you or most importantly, learn something about themselves.
Oh, thank you. And again, the important question is like, is it for money, you know, or is it for something else? And knowing the difference between sharing and teaching, and being okay with saying no, back to holding the ladder, and passing that opportunity up to someone who you know earned that spot. And I always would tell people all the time, especially, you know, because I was doing this since birth. And people would want to learn from me when I was really young, and I would always say, how can I charge you and try to teach you when the people who taught me are still alive? So go to them. I'll share with you. I'll share with you with some of the things I know, but you know, you couldn't pay me enough for me to compromise my morals. You know, so I'll go with a little bit less dollars in my pocket and make sure that the person who taught me gets that opportunity, and knowing that I'm not ready for that yet.
Absolutely, and even for those that are like at the place where like you've done a lot of work and you're like, you know, you even got like the verification from certain folks in the scene and like, yo, you're doing good work. You know, even at that point, like I teach at a university, I'll teach house a lot, but at the same time, I will still bring in people so my students can get additional perspectives of the dance, because my perspective isn't the only one. You know, this dance is rich, this culture is rich, so you have to get to learn from multiple people, even if it's in the same style. And then if the styles that I don't know, I'm definitely not teaching them. I'm like, all right, I don't teach popping, so I'm not gonna lie to myself and be out here and talk to myself. I'll session with you, but I'm not gonna teach a class and make money off of that, you know? So bring those people in, like you said, hold the ladder for someone else. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. Give a round of applause to these judges. If we can.
Let's get it.